come to say hi just before we started filming.
Yeah.
Look at him. You're just going to sit there, aren't you? What's that? What's that, Mr. Wilkes? Are you intrigued? Are you intrigued? Oh, he's going to bite me. Oh, he's giving me a cuddle. Just a good purr. Hello.
Bom dia.
And welcome to the Sunny Saudade project. We are back at it again with another video. And today we are going to be talking about 8 reasons to go to the island of Madeira.
So Madeira is an island, if you don't know. It is technically Portuguese. It is sort of west of Africa and north of the Tropic of Cancer. So it's just slap bang in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Up until the 1400s, nobody lived there, and the Portuguese discovered it.
In 1419, they found that the island was full of wood, so they just called it Wood Island.
Yeah, it was full of laurel trees, which is used a lot in Portuguese cooking, so I think it became very popular very quickly, as well as having the lovely subtropical warm weather. They sort of made it their home. We went to Madeira for our honeymoon. We didn't really know what to expect. We kind of just chose it because during current situations and not knowing when you can fly, where you can fly to, the island of Madeira has always been green throughout everything. So we chose it. You know, it's Portuguese, so we know the language, kind of know the food a little bit. But we really didn't anticipate how much we would genuinely love the place. It is so great.
So that being said, here are 8 reasons why you should travel to Madeira.
It's just so funny. Look, it's your head.
Oh, look at him. So reason number 1. Just saying that you've managed to land into Madeira is reason enough. For those of you who don't know, landing in Madeira is quite an experience. The runway in Madeira is very short and it is notoriously bumpy, and lots of airplanes struggle landing due to the harsh winds that come from the east. There was even a crash in 1977.
Don't worry though, they have extended the runway since then. It's not as bad as it used to be, but yeah, it's an experience.
It's an experience. They did extend a bit onto the actual sea to allow airplanes to land a lot easier.
One of the reasons we say it's an experience is basically because of the winds that come in from like the north. They hit the mountain, which then pushes down, which also means they can't land just flying around because then they might run risk of blowing into the mountain, which isn't ideal. So what you have to do is you have to come around the east side
of the island,
and then as it gets over like this little cliffy sort of bit that sticks out, it suddenly, whilst descending, does a full 180, and then as that's lowering, you just keep seeing a mountain by the side. There's people just doing the farming in their houses, having a little drive. You can see right into their windows. That's how close it is. And then suddenly you're there and the brakes just slam straight off. And it's very quick, short. And I remember when we landed, like, I didn't believe that people applauded when you land, but I get why they do it for Madiera.
The meme is real.
It's
people
true.
actually clapped in the end. And then there was this one guy saying, I want to meet this captain, I want to give him a handshake.
Yeah,
it was insane.
It was quite funny, I must admit. I'm also really terrified of flying. If you've heard this and gone, oh no, I'm never going to go to Madeira, please know that I like full on cry and hold on to Carlos's hand, but I have a foolproof plan how to prepare for landing in Madeira. Madeira is to actually weirdly watch YouTube videos of people landing, which I know sounds really sad. We really got into it.
It's a whole thing. Honestly, like, we watched like 10 or so videos. We're going to try and put a few links.
Yeah.
And it is really funny because you can see the airplanes have to do the U-turn, and then when they land, they get the winds that are hitting them from the mountain, so they kind of wobble.
But what we did is we ended up making a weird evening of getting drunk and putting bets on it. We could like watch the video and we go, that guy's not going to be able to land it because he came in a bit too quick there. But yeah, if you watch videos and just make a little laugh out of it, it weirdly does make it easier. And I actually found when it came to landing in Madeira, we just found that actually, because I knew what was going to happen, I actually found it a bit easier than some landings like in Faro. So don't let it put you off. It's genuinely like weirdly fun.
And when you arrive there, Cristiano Ronaldo is there to meet and greet you. We're in bloody Madeira. Even Cristiano Ronaldo's happy to see us. Yeah.
Not that happy. It's big face. Point number 2. For such a small island, there is so much to do. We had no idea, and I really feel like we could have done more, but it was a honeymoon. We wanted to chill a little bit. We only really made it round the east side of the island. There was still a whole west side we never even got to, and I don't feel we finished the east island even. Yeah,
we stayed there for about a week, and then we managed to go on the cable car ride.
Yeah.
Takes you to a botanical gardens. They, on the same day, they also threw us down this hill, the tobogganing.
I don't know who invented that.
It's hilarious.
Essentially, it's like someone's built like a wooden wicker crate, stuck carpet on the bottom of it, and gone, do you know what's going to be a really great mode of transport? Just firing that downhill with people inside.
So it's like being in a skateboard, but you're the skateboard and the guys are throwing you downhill. It's really funny.
The clips of me, I will have to put a sound one on because it's hilarious. I'm just literally giggling / screaming away. I sound like a comical old woman. It was so much fun.
Oh my god. Hold on to me.
We did all that in one day.
In one day.
They've got loads of Jeep rides. We really loved that. We used Green Devils.
Green Devils. Yeah.
I would recommend them. The guy was so funny. He just loved his island. It was his island. And it was really good fun. There are some crazy roads in Madeira. I can't even believe they're allowed to call them that. Like, you're talking like steep.
They are proper steep, and some of them
so thin.
And some of them don't even have roads. They're just dirt tracks.
It's literally a track, and they used to be like the main road, and like they've now built roads that sort of go through the mountain. But before, the only method of transport was that. And a donkey. There was one road I remember we got taken down, and you're basically going along a ridge, and somehow people have built like a house on the side of the ridge, and it just goes like that, and either side of you, it's wild.
Yeah, so we did all this in 2 days.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to do.
To list a few.
We have surfing, hiking, beach days, water sports, wine trails, jeep rides, as we said, boat rides, whale watching. You have the botanical garden, and you have other museums as well. Old house tours.
Oh yeah, they've got these really cute old traditional houses.
Oh, they're really cute.
Really
cute. And lots of waterfalls, and you can go for hikes on hikes on hikes. That wasn't our guide told us you could do 100 hikes or more?
Yeah, you could spend years just hiking around Madeira. Also, like, even if you just want like a chill day, you can still do things. There's like the town of Funchal is just beautiful. Just having a little potter about there. I think we spent the first day, because we were really knackered, we just had a little walk around, and they've got like lovely chocolate shops. They had like a street market when we went. There was like a flower festival.
It was a flower festival the day before, but they still had some of the markets available for us.
Yeah, so we got all like street food, and they were selling all these like really good fruit. Oh,
it was lovely.
It was so nice. So, talking of markets and food, that brings us on to our third point, which is food. Like all of Portugal, everywhere has their own sort of regional specialities. They may do certain dishes slightly differently. Madeira, I would say, is, out of everywhere I've been, they are so uniquely like their own in terms of food. Even though you still have a lot of like the similar ingredients, they do so much because they're on such a remote island, and obviously they've got the tropical fruit as well. So They sort of work that into their food, and it's got this really unique and lovely taste.
Very nice. So, just like the rest of Portugal, they have amazing seafood. They have a few dishes that are really good. Charlotte got to try a tuna steak.
Yeah.
The tuna steak was so good.
So nice. They also do one where you actually cook it on like a big stone, like hot stone.
A hot stone, yeah. They had another national dish is the filete de espetada, which is a scabbard fish, which is a damn ugly fish. But it's served with banana and passion fruit, you know, so you've got the traditional Portuguese dishes mixed in with the tropical zesty flavours. Octopus is also quite popular.
Yeah. For an island, they actually do quite a few meat dishes as well.
Beef espetada. Go on, Charlotte, you try to say it.
Beef espetada.
Not bad, not bad.
So basically it's like cubes of beef put on like a big laurel, so bay leaf sort of skewer. And then they cook it over like a charcoal. And what they do is they like hang it up on like a big cast iron thing.
It's quite big, so it'll be like probably this size, yeah.
All the juices like run down onto a plate, and then you use like either fried maize or bread.
Bolo do caco.
Bolo do caco.
That's the one.
Sorry. And you sort of like sop up all the juices. Oh, yum. Now, I will say, when you do go to restaurants, there isn't usually a big variety of like veggie dishes, but because everything is grown on the island, because it's so remote, what vegetable dishes you do get are really, really fresh, really delightful. Mum, this is why I should move to Portugal. Look at the quality of the vegetables compared to the UK. Look at that. The selection of tropical fruit. Usually when you get tropical fruit here in the UK, you know, it's been flown over. I think actually Portugal gets all of its bananas from Madeira. They're everywhere. Someone we saw bought like these huge dragon fruits. I've never seen them that big. Like they was just really sad looking over here.
In that same market that we mentioned, you can just buy fresh dragon fruit, and it's not even that expensive.
Just avocados just like growing around everywhere. It blew my mind.
So in this Jeep tour, there were avocados growing out of these trees, and no one was actually using them, which is nuts. Because here in the UK, if you want to buy 2 avocados, like £2-3. Yeah. So just a quick tip, guys: if you are going to travel to Madeira, make sure that you check out the local restaurants and you go to the back streets. To be honest, I would say this is a good tip for all of Portugal. You do get a lot of places that will overcharge you. So always go back, ask locals, have a look in the restaurant. Is it filled with like British people, or is it filled with local people? Yeah.
One of my favourite points. Number 4 is Poncho. Needless to say, we drank a lot of Poncho.
Pretty much almost every evening we drank, and it wasn't just 1 or 2.
Yeah. Be careful with Poncho, it's really strong. If you follow us on Instagram, you may have seen our little story we did at New Year's, but it will blow your socks off. It's really, really hard to find good Poncho outside of Madeira, and even in Madeira you have to be a little bit careful. Some people are trying to get you that pre-made stuff. Don't let them fool you. They have to spend like 10 minutes making it, otherwise it's not the one.
Poncho is essentially a simple cocktail. It has the rum, which is only made in Madeira.
It has to be Madeira.
It has to be Madeiran white rum, and then you have these juicy lemons.
Yeah.
That you have to squeeze, and then you mix it in with the rum. Now, the thing that makes this really interesting is that the rum in Madeira, it's got 50% of alcohol. So when you mix it in with the lemon juice, because it's 50-50 parts, you end up with a drink with 25% alcohol. Now, with other rums, you know, so let's say if you went into a pub and you ordered a rum and Diet Coke, for example, that rum only has 25% alcohol, and then when you mix it in with the Coke,
you've had like sinus trouble or something, and like next day,
honestly,
it was good to go.
Because I've always had a bit of sinuses problems, and I had it, and then the next day it was all cleared. It was all fine. Yeah.
It's like a good drunk as well. Like Poncho drunk, you just chill out, and you just
pretty
chill.
It's
a vibe. Drink responsibly. So, talking of chilling out, nothing beats a nice warm day in the sun, which brings us to number 5, which is go for the weather.
Has this horrible view all across the mountains. Like, it's horrible, horrible. Look at the sea. You can see the sea from here, man. It's, oh, disgusting. We're gonna have an awful time. It's gonna be dreadful, isn't it?
Because it's subtropical, it's pretty steady going. It's always warm. The only part which really has any fluctuations is like right at the top of the mountains. Down in Funchal, you just can't go wrong.
One of the main reasons why we went there in October is that, like, oh, it's only 20 degrees out there, you know, throughout October, which is great. It felt
warmer as well, because you're like quite close to the equator at that point. Like the sun is so like close, actually. I found, as a pale skinned person, it actually felt a lot warmer. January, as you can get the odd like sort of sea storm, but as I said, 18 degrees is usually the coldest day. Just a heads up, so when you do go and look at the temperatures, a lot of them will say like, oh, the lowest temperature is like 12 degrees. You have to remember that they sort of take an average of the island. The north side of the island is a lot cooler than the south. Because it's in the Atlantic. It gets all these north winds that sort of hit the mountains, and then it just gathers all the clouds. The south side, which is where Funchal is and where you sort of land, that part always stays warm. Yeah, south side.
It's lovely. So, fun story. We were staying in our honeymoon suite. We were chilling in our jacuzzi, basically. And this was in October. I got a sunburn. I've never got a sunburn before. I was so scared. I was like, I'm Portuguese. I don't need a sunburn. I don't need sun cream.
Yeah.
I got a sunburn. So wear sun cream, because it might not seem like it's that hot, but it's still hot.
I was clever and I just smothered myself
a factor 50.
all the time. We went through actual bottles of stuff.
We did, yeah. We had to buy 2 of
like
them.
An over makeup spray. I was prepared for anything.
She was ready. As we mentioned before in this video, there are lots of hikes that you could do, and that brings us to point number 6. Hiking through Pico Ruivo. Fun thing about this, it is 500 meters taller than Ben Nevis in Scotland. It was one of the craziest walks and most exciting walks for me.
Oh yeah,
that I've ever done.
Yeah, it's just because the island of Madeira is, I mean, geographically just a bit nuts. It's basically like a series of died out volcanoes, and the whole thing is like just a big spine of rock, essentially. When you climb these, you're essentially walking along what's this spine, and it's just sheer rock faces like that, and like a tiny path.
Yeah, you do have to be careful, you know. If this is the first time going, you should go with a guide with you. We are glad that we went with a guide. Another cool thing about this walk is that the walk starts above the skyline, and then as you're doing the walk, you go below the sky level, you go back up again.
Hang on, the cat's being annoying. Wilkes, what's the matter?
Mr. Wilkes, he's gonna be in the shot now.
Oh, come on. Okay, do you want to go out? Okay, you can go out.
You can see the clouds from when you start walking.
Yeah, they're like below you.
They're below you. It's
one of the most breathtaking things I think I've ever seen.
And it's so high up in the sky. When the 2 of us were flying off and returning to England, you could actually see that peak of the island poking out. It's nuts.
One of the things that I really loved is, I've climbed quite a few mountains, but this walk is like no other. So as I said, like it's like sheer drops either side. If you do suffer from vertigo or something, maybe don't do this. I get a little bit wobbly, but it's just constantly so high up and like so skinny a path that you just sort of end up forgetting about that you might have a fear of heights by like 20 minutes in. You just have to like stop and just look around every now and then. There's a video I have where you can see the path. It's like a big sort of pointy cliff, and you can see people just going up and down. Like
today takes us across that little bit. Don't you see there's people in the distance? And then we go all the way down, and then back up through these little caves. And up here.
The closest way of explaining this is like in the Lord of the Rings, where the guys are walking through the middle of the mountains. It's this the closest thing I can say.
There
honestly.
are parts of it where, like, there is no way you can put a path there, so they've just sort of chiseled hundreds of years ago. This was made, chiseled like these little paths that go through like huge rock faces and come out the other side of a mountain. Or there's bits where you're walking basically along a cliff, so they couldn't put a path in, so they sort of chiseled like a little alcove, and you're just sort of walking through a hole with like a little wire next to you, and that's it. And you look down and like there's some clouds below you.
It's weird.
Or a village in the bottom of this valley. It's insane.
It is nuts. So this is how people used to carry stuff from the north side of the island to the south side of the island and vice versa, because way back in the day they used to have two ports, one in the south and one in the north, and that is how they used to carry stuff over.
Yeah. The quickest way was to just go, oh, I'm just going to walk along this mountain path. There's bits where apparently people, I was reading somewhere, like, people used to sleep in the little caves that were made. Like, that will be your halfway point. Having that. Also, one thing that really annoyed me about this is there's an actual pub up there, right? And I can't work out how they get their supplies. How? They must get it airdropped in, but I don't.
I actually messaged the people on Instagram, and you know, it took a couple of days, but they said, "Oh, we just get it delivered. Someone just rocks up. Someone just walks up here with all the delivery stuff."
Oh my god!
And you know, it's not anything fancy, but you know, but the guys still need crisps and water.
Beer. They sell beer at the tallest peak.
It's insane.
There is, there's like two paths, isn't there? So the one where you go along all the cliffs, but there is also an easier path that comes from the other side. It is still a bit mad, like you're looking across the clouds and everything, but it is easier to do. So if you do want to get to the tallest peak and maybe you've got dodgy knees or something, I would recommend doing that way. I did maybe have a mild breathing issue. I haven't had asthma since I was a kid. Ever since you were a kid, wasn't it? We thought it was just like, it was seasonal asthma when I was a kid. We got to a bit which our guide described as the steps from hell. It's
called the steps from hell because the way that the walk works, that you start above the clouds and then you have to go below the clouds and then you have to climb it back up to get to the peak. So these stairways from hell, you have to go, what is it, 100 or 200 meters?
About 200 meters.
200 meters up.
Like that. They're all like iron steps. And there are some of them where there's steps, like I couldn't lift my leg that high. I was just like, ah! So, yeah, if you just aren't prepared, don't do it. Because you will get stuck on the mountain. But it's worth it. Even though I nearly died, it was so worth it.
You're all right.
That you'll see from the photos how pink my face was. It was quite comical. Although, the next day... when I couldn't walk out the gates of the hotel. We
were so tired, weren't we?
My legs were on fire for the rest of the holidays. Do it towards the end so you don't ruin your holiday.
Charlotte EXE has stopped working. Are you okay?
So did I.
Bit much, weren't it?
It was just the steps from hell bit. So point number 7, which kind of leads on nicely from our last one, is the stunning views of Madeira. I think Madeira is what you would describe as a very Instagrammable island. I know that we went a bit nuts for it. Everywhere you go, there's something to look at. If you're in Funchal, the seafront, you know, you've got so many little, like, boats, and the sea is just beautifully blue. You know, you turn around the other way and it's just like these mountains will disappear. It's like haunting, like this big scary like presence behind you.
It's quite weird, yeah. And even if you go into the back streets itself, they have museums there. They have a lot of old
architecture
and things like that.
Yeah, the buildings actually I was quite shocked by. I didn't realise like they would have like a full castle and stuff. Like, well, no, it was a castle, but the old town hall was like big.
It was big,
really
wasn't
old.
It? Oh, the best spot is the Cristiano Ronaldo museum.
One of the things I loved as well were like when you'd be driving around and you'd see like little villages or like just a house. There was one house in particular we were looking at and we were like, how is that real? It was just sat upon like this point. Like, it's like the whole earth just went like that, and then someone's gone.
I will put a house in there.
I don't even know how they get to their house. How does that work? One of the things that we noticed when we were in the Jeep, like, you can be driving through, like, what is essentially a jungle of palms and bananas at one point. You can then, 20 minutes later, be in, like, this prehistoric sort of ferns and laurel trees.
It's
such, like, a dense, dark sort of forest. And then the next minute, you're, like, driving through clouds. And you're above the cloud.
It's insane, actually. And, you know, and like you said, we only went to the east side of the island.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to the west and the north side, you have completely different views.
Waterfalls everywhere.
They're
like so many. There are, like, I didn't know this, which is why we need to go to the west side of the island next time.
Mm-hmm.
There are parts where people have just put a road and, like, a waterfall is falling onto the road. You just drive through it. People love taking that shot.
Challenge accepted.
So that brings us to our final point, which is number 8.
Mate.
That one. The people of Madeira. I don't think I've ever been somewhere. They just genuinely so proud of their island, and they just want to share it with as many people as they possibly can.
We went into this restaurant in the center of Funchal, and there was this waiter. I was like, "Oh, guys, come in. We'll give you some poncho in the house," and then he took like 10 minutes doing it.
That was one of the best ponchos we had, actually. We'll have to put a photo of that one up. It's like they put all sugar around the rim. Delicious.
It was really good.
But also, like, everyone in that restaurant was just loved to come and have a chat with us in between serving, like, when in a quiet moment. I think because Carlos is Portuguese as well, like, they always like to have a little chat with him. Another thing that happened, again, it just shows you how friendly they are. We had to get a taxi back to the airport on the last day. We were running slightly, like, behind. We were a little bit worried. So that's why we had to get this taxi. We missed the bus. And he just spent the time being like, "Oh no, don't worry, you've got loads of time." And he took us, like, around all these back streets, and gave us what I would like to call the Cristiano Ronaldo tour.
The official Cristiano Ronaldo tour. It was hilarious. So the first bit was like, if you look at this house, this is where Cristiano Ronaldo mum used to live.
Yeah.
And I was friends with his dad. It's like,
That's Cristiano Ronaldo's house there, and oh, you see this bit, he used to walk up here with the shopping. And then he, like, took us to this other street where he was like, "This is the best view."
best
And he
view
wasn't,
from Madeira.
he wasn't wrong.
He's in the middle of the road,
Yeah.
and then he's right, "I'm just gonna turn right here. You better get your cameras ready, kids." And then he stops. And then you could see the entire island.
All of Funchal,
from that spot.
That's just the way they just really want to share it, and anyone who took us around was just great and lovely. So guys, I hope you enjoyed our viewpoints. We hope this inspired you to go to Madeira. Honestly, we absolutely love it, and I'm definitely going back this year. I've decided that.
We are going to be one of those couples. After a couple years, we're like, "Oh, we've been going here for 20 years in a row."
That'll be us. Maybe by the time we've done that, maybe we've done everything, but I doubt it. We would highly recommend, please go and visit Madeira, and maybe leave a like or subscribe.
Ring the notification bell.
Yeah.
Tell us in the comments if you are interested in going to Madeira, and if you want any tips or any recommendations for any restaurants or things to do.
Also, please let us know if you want this poncho video that I really want to do. I want to do the poncho video.